Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. So we're talking about accounting corrections and reversals today. And I'm going to make it clear right up front, okay, that there's one and only one place that corrections and reversals can occur in accounting, and that's right up here under Transactions and Browse. When we go into Browse Transactions, this is our list of all of our transactions that we have posted, in this case for 2024, in date occurred order. If we look, let me get out my little drawing tool here. If we look at our column here called type, okay, this is the types of transactions that are posted, okay? So we see donations and payroll, and if we continue to go down, we'll see journal entries and bills and payments and transfers. That type column tells you exactly what type of transaction you're working with or dealing with, okay? So that's a very important thing to understand, is that every one of these transactions, this is the place, folks, where transactions can be either corrected, viewed, or reversed, as the case may be, okay? There's enormous power in this window, all right? I use this on my support calls all the time, all right? And it talks about that on page 15 of the document, about going into transactions and browse. The bottom of page 15 talks about view. I may not touch on everything on this document, folks, but I'll do my best. I'll touch on what I believe is important on here. But you have the document. You can review it at your leisure. The view button over here on every transaction allows us to see the exact details of the transaction just by clicking on that. So I click on that. Here's my payroll transaction for Lisa Young from, I don't even know the date, January 13th. I click on the view. It shows me every account and every amount that's involved in that transaction. I can't change anything here, okay? But I can't correct anything, but I can at least see the accounts involved in the transaction, nothing more, okay? I can't change or correct anything. Can't even access the attachments. I can just view it. So just a handy feature to know that you can look at transactions there. When we jump over to page 16, it talks about viewing the bill transaction, but you can view any of them, folks, okay? Page 16, this is important. Each new accounting year starts over with transaction number 1, okay? So if I click on the transaction number column header here and I scroll up, I see transaction number 2. The reason why I'm not seeing transaction number 1 is it's been reversed, either as a result of a deliberate reversal or a correction. But transaction number 1 is there, and we'll look at that here in just a second. We'll find that. Page 16 at the bottom there talks about every type of transaction in this list is coded with a type of transaction. If yours doesn't, folks, I need to hear from you, because the software is not doing what it should, okay? So every transaction has a type, and that information proves helpful. It tells you exactly what type of transaction you're dealing with, okay? And at the very bottom of 16, folks, and this is probably the greatest thing I can probably, the best piece of advice I can sort of give you about this, and it happens to be written into the document, is play with Browse Transactions. Learn to use it. There is enormous power in this window, whether you're correcting, whether you're reversing, whether you're wanting to just look at something, okay? And I'm going to show you here in a little bit about, in a couple minutes here, about what I use a lot of this under Browse Transactions for, okay? So become familiar with this. The worst you can do is you can reverse something here or correct it when you maybe didn't. But as long as you don't click the reverse or correct buttons at the top here, you're going to be okay, okay? But become familiar with this window. At the top of page 17, change year, filter, and sort. Right up here in the upper left, folks, let me get out my highlighter here. Right here, change year, filter, and sort. This is the window that allows us to be able to filter out transactions we don't want to see and limit it down to transactions we do want to see, okay? So right here under Transaction Browser Options, I've got several tabs: Filter, Custom Account Groups, Group and Sort, Columns, Font, Vendors, Payees. Filter. You have accounting year. You can run and look at transactions for any accounting year right from this window by just choosing the accounting year and say 2021 and click OK. And here are my 2021 transactions. Okay. I can't correct anything about them. I can only view them, but I can view the transactions from any accounting year while here. Okay. So here now, when I change that back, I can filter by an account here in the upper left. I use this all the time, folks, on my calls. I want to filter transactions down to a particular vendor or payee because I have a question about that vendor. I choose that. It doesn't have to be a vendor. It can be any account. So American Electric Power, click OK. Here's all my bills and payments for AEP for 2024. I haven't had to go through and visually scroll through the transactions and look for those. You can enter a combination of criteria here, folks. So if I go, okay, I want to look at American Electric Power, and I just want to look at the bills that or the payments that I've posted to them, clear all to the right, check just payment transactions. There they are there, and there's my payments, eliminating the bills. Okay. This is a method of being able to view and see transactions you want to see while eliminating the rest and not have to scroll down and visually sort through the transactions to find something. This allows you to make your work life easier in accounting, okay, especially when you have questions about specific transactions or accounts, as the case may be, okay? Page 18 talks about account. When we go back to change year, filter, and sort, I can ask for information around a fund. If I want to reset this screen, all I have to do is click clear filter down here in the bottom right, and it resets it all. Or if I'm back at my browse transactions and I've set something, let's say I do clear all and I go, okay, I just want to look at my bills. Here's my bill transactions. I don't need to go back to change year, filter, and sort in order to do that. I can just go down to clear filter down here in the bottom left-hand corner, and boom, it's reset it back to the defaults, okay, to everything showing. All right. Going back to change year, filter, and sort. Until you begin to play with this, folks, you really don't know what you can really do with it, okay? I can ask for transactions that were posted by a specific user of the software. Again, we have a very ironclad audit trail in the Church Windows software, and that you can ask for information about a user provided your security allows you the ability, has the different users for that. I want to seek out a specific check or reference number on page 20. Let's say I go, all right, I want to find check number 98695, enter that number, click OK. There it is. It's a payroll transaction from February 28th. There it is. I can see it right here. Okay. Clear filter. I can restore the default layouts here. I can restore a saved layout down. If you look, I'm talking about down here in the bottom left, folks, if you want. Like I said, 20 minutes, it's kind of a lot of material to have to slam through here, but I want to kind of touch on a few things here. Going back to change year, filter, and sort. Lots of power on the filter tab. We're going to touch briefly on some of these other tabs across the top later. Date occurred. You want to see transactions for a particular period of time. You know, I use this a lot on my support calls when I go, oh, I've run the general ledger for an account. I want to go in and look at the transactions. I may want to manipulate them. I come in here and I go, okay, I want to look at all of my transactions for, you know, January 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2024, okay, and say to my Huntington Bank checking account and click OK, and there they are. I could even go so far as to go, okay, I just want to clear all and see all my donation transactions for that. Click OK, there they are. There's two, okay. Again, lots of power here. Date posted. You have no control over date posted in the upper right here, folks. This is a date that's systematically assigned to transactions that you're sitting at the computer at that day when you're doing that, you know, when you're posting transactions. This is not a user-controlled date field, only date occurred. So it's handy. You know, you go, oh, well, you know, I was sitting at the computer on this particular day and I don't know exactly what I did, so let me go in and look. So let's say I want to find out all transactions that I posted while sitting at the computer on February 28th of 2024, okay? And here it is. I click OK, and there they are. Looks like two donation transactions, and I've isolated those. specifically by using date posted, okay? A very helpful troubleshooting and audit troubleshooting field as well, okay? Page 22 talks about how date occurred is the date that you have control over. You know, again, you can look at those, you know, for those that's the date the transaction is actually affecting the books. You can isolate a specific transaction number or range of transaction numbers. Here, folks, right below date posted. You can seek out transactions with a specific, say, dollar amount if you wish, or a range of dollar amounts. All right. So I want to look at, you know, all transactions. But I'm not sure how much it was. So it was, you know, somewhere between 100 and 110 bucks. You can put that in there and click OK, and it'll show you those. Okay. Again, transaction types. You go, okay, I don't want to see all my other transaction types. I just want to see my, say, bills like we had seen before. Click OK, and there they are. Typically, you know, you're going to learn that you can enter a combination of criteria here to really drill down and find specific transactions that you're wanting, folks. Okay. Over here to the left, and I'm talking about here to the left-hand side, we've got our show reconciled, show unreconciled, show paid, show unpaid, show reversed, show only reversed. Okay. Again, just more options for being able to filter out transactions you just want to see or don't want to see. So let's say I said I was going to show you reverse transaction number 1, so I'm going to check show reversed. I can also ask the software to show me only reverse transactions if I wish. Click OK, click on transaction number, and then we're going to go right down here to the bottom. I've got them inverted. There's transaction number 1 in red, clearly been reversed. Okay. Again, reconciled, unreconciled, show paid, unpaid. Show paid, unpaid involves bills and or accounts receivable invoice transactions only. Okay. But again, you can ask for that if you wish. Custom account groups. If you have custom account groups that's set up and you want to see transactions as they pertain to particular groups of accounts that you've set up under custom account groups, like say trustees accounts, I choose that, check that group, I click OK, and here are all of the transactions, including reversals that I've posted for my trustees accounts. Okay. I'm going to go back and clear filter. Group and sort. Wow, there's power here. Okay. It's on, let's see here, well, group and sort, page 26, folks. By default, the software defaults to group or sorting by date occurred, but you can sort down to, I think, 3 fields, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure why sort field 3 is unavailable, but date occurred, and I can choose to do that, you know, by changing this here. So let's say I want to change it to let's see, account number. And I click OK, and here it is all sorted by my account numbers. Okay. Let's see, accounts payable, vendors listed first. There they are, assets, liabilities, and eventually down into probably income, journal entries, income, etc. Okay. Commonly use group and sort, folks. It can really help. So if, let's say I do account number, I group by field 1, it groups everything together by the type of an account, right? So here it is. So here's my Huntington Bank checking account, okay? Everything grouped together by account. And right here it shows that. I can also do this another way right here. So if I do clear filter and click OK, let's drag the account number back down here. Here, I can just says drag a column header here to group by that column. So if I go, okay, I'm going to pick up date occurred and drag it up there and I drop it, look at everything's here grouped by date. You can actually subsort with by date within those as well. Okay. Again, I can go down to clear filter, restore default layout. There it is. Now it's restoring back to default layout. Okay. Anyway, so folks, play with this, use the document, look at that. There's the last couple of minutes that I want to talk about is actually reversing, okay, and correcting. First and foremost, you'll want to maybe notate this on the report, on the document that we've printed, okay? You can correct everything except payroll transactions, and you have limited capability to correct donation entries. But everything else, bills, payments, journal entries, transfers, income transactions, those can all be corrected right here at Browse. If I click on a payroll entry and try to click correct, notice it pops up. It says payroll transactions must be corrected in payroll and transferred over to accounting again. So I clearly can't do that, okay? If I go down the list here and I find, say, let's see, a bill. Here I've got a bill. I can click correct, and it allows me to open up and correct a bill transaction, okay? Every transaction type can be reversed, okay? So if I need to reverse a transaction, I can. It doesn't care whether it's a payroll entry or a donation transaction. I can reverse anything I want in accounting, okay? So if I find this donation transaction here for 115, click reverse. It says reversing donation transactions in accounting modules can cause discrepancies between donations and accounting. Are you sure you want to reverse this donation transaction? If I click yes, it'll reverse it out of accounting. It's not going to touch anything in donations. It just reverses it out of the accounting module. I can go back into donations, reactivate that batch for transfer, and retransfer it into accounting again. Okay? All I'm doing is affecting my transactions here in accounting, and that's it. I can even reverse payroll entries. So if I highlight it, I click on reverse, it says reversing a payroll transaction can cause discrepancies. So just be aware that because those are different databases, transactions that are generated from different databases, that you're going to get these warnings, but it'll still allow you to do it. But if I reverse that, it's going to systematically reactivate that payroll and allow me to transfer it over, or not, as the case may be, okay? But typically, if I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to I would want to reverse the payroll transaction and transfer the reversal into accounting, or there's a reason why I'm wanting to reverse it and then retransfer the payroll into the accounting module. But folks, every other transaction type that we have in our list here, with the exception of donations and payroll, all can be corrected or reversed. Notice here, if I click on this bill and reverse, it just pops up and says, hey, what do you want? Is there a transaction comment you want to enter for why this is being reversed? The advanced options, folks, there are advanced options as to allowing you to reverse things with different dates, but honestly, you have to exert enormous care with regards to whether you use this or not. I never use this. I typically always reverse transactions as of the original date, particularly where asset accounts or bank accounts are concerned, because again, it can really play havoc with your bank reconciliation or your asset account balance if you're not careful. And certainly any of your reports, whether you do that. So 99.9% of the time, I'm going to reverse it as of the original date. And so it's rare that I would ever go to advanced options, if ever, and make a change to a date other than that. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to post something differently. Question coming in, can I change a payment date? Absolutely. Certainly, of course. So if I find a payment transaction here, let's see if I can find a payment. There it is. Click on the payment, correct it. I can edit the date and save it. Just be aware, if a bill and a payment are involved, you may need to correct both the bill and the payment. It won't correct the other transaction. So this AT&T bill for March 13th, if I've got a bill, I would need to change that or correct that if the bill needed to be changed as well. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to take a quick look at my notes here. So folks, finally, before I look over at questions here and wrap up the event, use correct wherever possible. It will save you time. Okay. I work with a lot of folks on the phones who go, oh, well, I reversed the transaction and re-entered the bill. Why? When you can correct it, as long as the bill is necessary and you go, oh, the date was wrong or the vendor was wrong, correct it, change it. Okay. Correcting will minimize your mistakes and it'll save you time. Okay. And just be aware, reversing transactions will remove the transaction or archive it and make it red. There's a record of it in the software, but reversing it does reverse it and reverse the entry. You cannot unreverse a reverse transaction. You can only go back in and repost a new entry for anything that has been reversed, okay?